You know that moment when your entire family dynamic shifts? When years of subtle jabs and dismissive comments finally crystallize into something you can't ignore. Mine happened over mashed potatoes and green beans at my mother's dining room table, 3 days before her big 55th birthday celebration. And let me tell you, what followed was either the most professional act of revenge or the most elaborate teaching moment in family history. Maybe both. Hey viewers, welcome to the channel. We're just getting started and your support means a lot. If you enjoy these stories, please consider subscribing and help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for being here. Now back to the story. I'm an event coordinator, and not just the order some balloons and pick a playlist kind. I run complex corporate events and high-end private functions for a successful company. We're talking multi-day conferences, product launches that make tech blogs salivate, and the kind of private parties that get whispered about in country club lounges. After 5 years in the business, I've handled everything from last-minute venue changes for 500-person gatherings to that one memorable time when a surprise tornado warning forced me to relocate an outdoor wedding in under 2 hours. No big deal, just another Tuesday in the life of a party planner. That last bit, that's what my family calls me, especially my Uncle Rick, who's made an art form out of belittling my career while propping up his struggling plumbing business like it's the next Apple. Don't get me wrong, plumbing is honest work. But Rick struts around family gatherings like he's cracked the code to generational wealth because he employs 2 guys and drives a truck with his company logo on it. So when my mom asked me to plan her 55th birthday party, I saw it as my chance to show them what I actually do. "We'll pay you, of course," she said, like she was hiring her teenager to babysit. I agreed, but decided to give my services as a gift. Professional courtesy, you know? I threw myself into it. Through my industry connections, I secured this gorgeous venue that usually books 6 months in advance. We're talking floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a private terrace for sunset cocktails, the works. I negotiated with my favorite caterer for a custom menu featuring all Mom's favorites. Got a band that specializes in her generation's hits, but knows how to read a room. And even arranged for this amazing photographer who usually only does celebrity events. Total value? Easily $15,000. What Mom was paying? $6,000. The magic of professional relationships and industry rates. Everything was set. Contracts signed with me as the official coordinator, standard practice in my industry. Vendors confirmed, timeline meticulously planned. I had backup plans for my backup plans, because that's what professionals do. Then came that family dinner. Picture it. Mom's dining room, 3 days before the big event. Dad's telling one of his work stories that never quite reach a point. My cousin Sarah's texting under the table. Aunt Linda's pretending to be interested in both. And there's Uncle Rick, surveying the scene like he's Gordon Gekko instead of a guy who spent that morning unclogging Mrs. Peterson's toilet. Mom starts showing everyone photos of the venue on her phone. "Look at what our little party planner put together," she says, and I feel that familiar twitch in my eye. But I let it slide. I always let it slide. Then Rick starts in. "Must be nice," he says, swirling his cheap wine like it's a rare vintage, having a daughter who can get deals on fancy venues. The way he says deals makes it sound like I'm running some kind of scam. I try to explain the business aspect, how vendor relationships work, why my professional reputation matters, how event coordination is actually a complex field requiring multiple skill sets. But Rick's not listening. He's building up to something, and I can see it coming like a storm cloud at an outdoor wedding. "You know," he says, putting down his glass with that fake authority people use when they're about to say something terrible. "Most people your age are building real careers, not just playing around with party decorations." The table goes quiet. Sarah stops texting. Dad suddenly finds his green beans fascinating. And my mom, she gets this nervous little laugh, the kind that's been enabling Rick's behavior at family gatherings since I was old enough to remember. "Maybe," Rick continues, leaning forward like he's about to share the secret to life itself, "if you stopped playing party planner and got a real job, you wouldn't be such a failure at life." You know that moment in movies when time seems to stop, when the background noise fades away and all you can hear is your own heartbeat. Yeah, that's not what happened. Instead, I got crystal clear clarity. Every dismissive comment, every condescending pat on the head, every "when are you getting a real job" conversation suddenly came into sharp focus. I look at my mom, waiting for her to say something. Defend me. Tell Rick he's out of line. Anything. Instead, she chuckles, actually chuckles, and says those words that would end up costing her the birthday party of her dreams. Oh, honey, don't be so sensitive. He's just joking. I put down my fork, the metal clinking against fine china in what feels like slow motion. Just joking. The words taste bitter in my mouth. Like how you've been just joking about my career for the past 5 years. Mom's smile falters. Now, sweetheart. But I'm already standing, grabbing my purse with one hand while my other grips the back of my chair so tight my knuckles turn white. You know what's funny? How everyone in this room has probably called me to help with an event at some point. Sarah, remember your graduation party? The one that made all your friends jealous? Dad, how about that retirement party for your VP that got you noticed by the board? Rick scoffs. Anyone could make a few phone calls. Really? I turn to him, and for the first time in my life, I see him lean back slightly. Then why did your wife call me last month asking for help with your company's client appreciation event? The one you were struggling to organize. Aunt Linda chokes on her wine. Rick's face turns an interesting shade of purple. And my mom. She's still wearing that nervous smile, like if she pretends hard enough, this will all just blow over. I walk out, letting the door close behind me with a quiet click that somehow feels louder than if I'd slammed it. In my car, I sit for a moment, hands gripping the steering wheel. The venue contract is sitting in my passenger seat. I'd brought it over to show Mom some final details. That's when it hits me. I'm not just my mother's daughter. I'm a professional event coordinator with full authority over every aspect of this party. The next morning, I start making calls. Professional, polite, completely by the book. Hi, this is Rachel from Elite Events. I need to process a cancellation for the Henderson party on Saturday. Venue. Canceled. Catering. Gone. Band, photographer, florist, rentals. Everything methodically dismantled like a Jenga tower in reverse. Each vendor is understanding. They know me, trust me, value our professional relationship. Some even offer to hold the date in case things change. These family events can be tricky, the venue manager says sympathetically. She's seen enough mother of the bride meltdowns to write a book. I don't tell my mom. I let the cancellation emails do that for me. By Friday morning, my phone is lighting up like Times Square on New Year's Eve. First come the texts. There must be some mistake. Then the voicemails, increasingly panicked. Honey, the venue says everything's canceled. Finally, the emails. Please call me. What's happening? I let them all go to voicemail. Each message gets more desperate as she discovers another vendor cancellation. The catering company she's worked with for her charity events for years won't even discuss the party with her. Professional courtesy to the event coordinator, you understand. Around 4 p.m., she shows up at my apartment. Her mascara's smeared, and she's clutching her phone like a lifeline. How could you do this? She demands. My friends are all coming tomorrow. Everything was perfect. I lean against my doorframe, channeling her casual dismissiveness from dinner. Oh, Mom, don't be so sensitive. It's just a party. The color drains from her face as her own words come back to haunt her. This is different. This is important. Is it? Because according to Uncle Rick, what I do isn't important at all. It's just making phone calls, right? Should be easy enough to fix. She tries everything, guilt, anger, bargaining. I'll talk to Rick, she promises. He'll apologize. Like you did. I ask quietly. When were you planning to apologize for laughing when he called your daughter a failure? That stops her cold. For maybe the first time, I see something click behind her eyes. But I'm not done. You know what's interesting, Mom? When you tried to call the venue yourself, they quoted you 3 times what I negotiated. The caterer you've known for years? Their next available date is in 2 months. That photographer you loved? Booked solid through next year. Turns out all those deals I get aren't about making phone calls. They're about relationships I've built, expertise I've earned, and a professional reputation I've worked my ass off to maintain. She sinks onto my couch, looking small and lost. I didn't know. That's the problem, isn't it? You never asked. You never wanted to know what I actually do. It was easier to laugh along with Rick's jokes than to understand your daughter's career. The next 24 hours become a crash course in event planning for my mother. She calls every venue in town, growing increasingly desperate as each one tells her they're booked months in advance. She tries restaurants for catering, only to discover that feeding 40 people requires more than just calling in a large takeout order. By Saturday morning, she's learned more about my profession than she has in 5 years. Maybe we could just do something small, she suggests, standing in my kitchen, looking exhausted. Just family. I raise an eyebrow. You mean like Rick? She winces. He's been calling me all morning, you know. Says this proves his point about you being unprofessional. Interesting take, I say, sipping my coffee. Has he offered to help plan anything? Since it's so easy. She manages a weak laugh. He said, and I quote, "How hard can it be to order some food and book a room?" She pauses, looking at her phone. The cheapest quote I've gotten for a last-minute venue is 3 times what you arranged. How did you? Relationships, I explain. 5 years of delivering successful events. Never missing a payment. Bringing consistent business. Solving problems without drama. Being, professional. Her birthday arrives, and instead of the elegant soiree I'd planned, the one with the perfect lighting, the carefully curated menu, and the band that knew all her favorite songs, she gets a grocery store cake and an empty house. Her friends keep calling, asking what happened, and she has to explain that her daughter, the just a party planner, had canceled everything. Uncle Rick shows up at my apartment that night, face red, probably fueled by cheap wine and wounded pride. He starts in about family loyalty and professionalism, rich coming from a guy who called me a failure over dinner. I let him rant until he runs out of steam. Then I hand him a business card. Not my regular one, but my corporate event coordinator card, the one with my full title and company logo. Rick, your business could probably benefit from a professional event planner. Those client appreciation events you struggle with? That's entry-level stuff for me. But my consultation fee is $200 an hour, and somehow I doubt you've budgeted for that. He sputters, but I'm not finished. By the way, how's that leak at the Thompson account? The one you've been trying to fix for 3 weeks. Funny how some jobs require actual expertise, isn't it? He leaves without another word, but I hear through the family grapevine that he had to hire another plumber to fix the Thompson leak. Sometimes karma has a sense of humor. The following week brings an unexpected shift. My mom's friends start reaching out, not to complain about the canceled party, but to inquire about my services. Turns out, watching my mom struggle to plan a last-minute event made them appreciate what I do. I had no idea, one of her friends tells me, that you handled those huge tech conferences downtown. Why didn't your mother ever mention that? Another one, a corporate lawyer, actually hires me to coordinate her firm's annual retreat. Anyone who can maintain vendor relationships that's strong is someone I want handling my events, she says. My dad calls on Monday. Unlike Mom's dramatic visits or Rick's blustering, he's quiet, thoughtful. I let you down, he says simply. I should have said something at dinner. I've watched you build this career, and I stayed silent when Rick dismissed it. I'm sorry. His apology means more than I expected. Maybe because it's the first one that acknowledges not just what happened at dinner, but the years of dismissal that led up to it. A month later, my mom shows up at my apartment again. This time, she brings coffee, my exact order from my favorite local place, not the chain store she usually frequents. It's a small detail, but it shows she's paying attention. I've been thinking, she says, settling onto my couch, about what happened, about your career, about everything really. She takes a deep breath. I watched you plan Sarah's graduation party last year. It was perfect. Everyone said so. But I never asked how you did it. Never really wanted to understand. I sit across from her, waiting. She fiddles with her coffee cup, collecting her thoughts. When I tried to salvage my birthday party, God, it was a nightmare. Every vendor had questions I couldn't answer. Contingency plans I hadn't considered. Weather backup options, liability insurance, staffing ratios. Things I didn't even know were part of event planning. And everyone asked about you. Oh, you're Rachel's mom? Why isn't she handling this? She looks up at me, really looks at me, maybe for the first time in years. I'm sorry, not just for laughing at dinner, but for never taking your career seriously. For letting Rick, for letting anyone dismiss what you do. It's the apology I've been waiting for, but something still needs to be said. You know what hurt the most? When things go wrong at an event. Really wrong, like that time we had a power outage during the governor's fundraiser. I handle it. No panic, no drama. Just solutions. Because that's what professionals do. But at that dinner, when Rick called me a failure, You couldn't even handle that small crisis. You laughed it off. I know, she says quietly. I've always done that, laughed off uncomfortable moments. It's easier than confrontation. But I'm learning that sometimes the easy way out is actually the hardest on the people we love. Over the next few months, things shift in surprising ways. My mom starts introducing me differently at her social functions. This is my daughter Rachel. She's an event coordinator for elite events. You know that amazing tech conference downtown last month? That was her work. Rick still hasn't apologized, but his wife hired me, secretly, to plan their daughter's Sweet 16. Don't tell Rick, she whispered, handing me the deposit check. But I want this done right. The party was perfect, of course. Rick spent the whole evening complimenting the planning, not knowing it was my work. Sometimes silence is the sweetest revenge. The real change comes in the small moments. Like when my mom calls to ask detailed questions about my current projects, actually interested in the logistics and challenges. Or when my dad proudly tells his golf buddies about the corporate retreat I organized that landed his company 3 new major clients. Last week, I got a call from a potential client who said, "Your mom told me about the work you did for the Children's Hospital fundraiser. She spent 20 minutes explaining your vendor management strategy. I've never seen someone so proud of their daughter's professional expertise. You know what's funny? That birthday party I canceled? It would have been amazing. The venue's sunset view, the perfectly timed courses, the surprise performance I'd arranged. It would have been talked about for months. But what happened instead? That became the talk of our family for years to come. Not because I canceled a party, but because I finally stood up for my profession, my expertise, and myself. Yesterday, Mom asked me to help plan her 56th birthday. A small dinner, she said. Nothing fancy. I just want it done professionally. She handed me a contract, an actual professional services contract, and insisted on paying my full rate. No family discounts, she said firmly. I'm hiring the best in the business. Rick won't be invited. Some leaks, it turns out, can't be fixed with a wrench and a prayer. But that's okay. Sometimes the best events are the ones where you carefully curate the guest list. I've learned something through all this. Sometimes it takes canceling a party to make people understand what really goes into planning one. And sometimes, just sometimes, the most professional revenge is simply letting people experience the consequences of underestimating you. As for me, I just booked my biggest event yet, a week-long international corporate retreat with a budget that would make Uncle Rick's head spin. But that's just making phone calls, right? You know what they say, success is the best revenge. But having your mom finally understand and respect your career, that's even better.